Welcome to week 2 of English 102. This week we'll be covering complements, modifiers, and appositives. First of all, let's think about complements. Many times, a subject and a verb are actually sufficient to express a complete thought, so it is a complete sentence. The dog has eaten. We have a subject, dog, and we have a verb, has eaten. The team has arrived. Again, we have a subject and a verb. So there are sentences that just have a subject and a verb, and they have a complete thought. But then there are times that third part is necessary to have a complete thought. So that third part, called a complement, is needed to complete the thought of the sentence. That third part is called a complement because it completes the meaning begun by the subject and the verb. So you'll see the words written in red. A complement is something that completes something else. So this third part, a complement, is needed to complete the thought. Look at these three word groups. Moses crossed. Joshua finished. The Jordan River was. Well, neither of these three groupings of words makes sense or has a complete thought in and of itself, so it needs something to complete the thought. Moses crossed the Red Sea. Now we have a complete thought. We have a subject, Moses, a verb, crossed, and then we have a complement, the Red Sea. Joshua finished. What did he finish? He finished dividing the land. So we have a subject, Joshua, a verb, finished, and then a complement, dividing the land. The Jordan River was turbulent and dangerous. So we have a complete sentence. We've got the subject, Jordan River, the verb, was, and then we have a compound complement, turbulent and dangerous. Complements come in different categories. We have verb complements, subject complements, and object complements. Begin by thinking about verb complements. Verb complements come in two different forms, direct objects and indirect objects. Both of these are verb complements. They complete the thought of the verb. A direct object is a noun, pronoun, or a group of words that completes the meaning of an action verb. Sam threw the ball. Sam is the subject. The action verb is threw, and ball is what Sam threw. So ball is the direct object. Sam threw the ball. An indirect object is a noun or pronoun that actually precedes the direct object and tells to whom or to what the action of the verb is done. So, Sam threw Joe the ball. Now, Sam did not throw Joe. Sam threw the ball. So, in order to determine which of the words is the direct object, we would ask to whom or to what did Sam throw? And it was the ball. But now the indirect object answers the question to whom he threw that ball. He threw the ball to Joe. Sam threw Joe the ball. So Joe is the indirect object, ball is the direct object, and both of these are verb complements. So now think about subject complements. Subject complements come in two different forms, predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives. Now, a subject complement is a noun, pronoun, or an adjective that follows a linking verb and renames or describes the subject. So we've already discussed the fact that there are two different categories, predicate adjectives and predicate nominatives. So the question is, how do we know if it is a predicate nominative or predicate adjective? Well, a predicate nominative is going to be a noun, pronoun, or adjective that renames the subject. Whereas a predicate adjective is going to describe the noun, pronoun, or adjective. Let's look at an example to see how this works. Joshua is the captain of the Lord's army. Joshua is the subject, is the linking verb, and captain is the word that complements the subject. It follows the noun Joshua. Now, this word is a predicate nominative because it actually renames the subject. Joshua is the captain. Captain and Joshua are equal, so it's a predicate nominative renaming the noun that precedes it. The captain is he. And again, we have a linking verb is that's linking he with captain. He is a noun or a pronoun. Here it's a pronoun. And here it is renaming once again the subject being captain. The captain is he. He is the captain. So it is renaming. So again, we have a predicate nominative. Joshua is excited. Now, once again, Joshua is the subject. We once again have is as the linking verb, but this time we have an adjective, excited. So now it's giving a description of Joshua and it's not renaming Joshua. So in this sentence, Joshua is excited. Excited is a predicate adjective describing the subject Joshua. So we see that we've got predicate nominatives and predicate adjectives. Predicate nominative renames the subject. Predicate adjectives describe the subject, and they follow a linking verb. Now, what exactly is a linking verb? The verbs is, am, are, was, were, be, being, been. All of these words are forms of the verb be. All of these be verbs may be used as linking verbs. Now, they're not always linking verbs, and we'll talk about that in another class, but they can be used as linking verbs. Is, were, am, be, are, being, was, been. But here's another grouping of words that can also be used as linking verbs. Taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, seem, grow, remain, stay. The context of the sentence itself will determine if this is an action verb or if it is a linking verb. Consider these two sentences. Angela looks pretty in that dress. Angela looks for pretty dresses. Now, Angela is the subject of both of these, followed by the verb looks. In the first sentence, Angela looks pretty in that dress. Well, in this sentence, looks is a linking verb because it is describing Angela. Angela looks pretty. Now, pretty is an adjective. So in this sentence, pretty would be a predicate adjective following or describing Angela. In the second sentence, looks is an action verb. It's something that Angela is actually physically doing. Angela looks for pretty dresses. So in this sentence, looks is an action verb. So now, how do you actually tell the difference? We're looking at direct objects. Direct objects follows an action verb, but predicate nominatives follows a linking verb. Both of them answer the question whom or what after the verb. So again, how are we to tell the difference? Consider these two sentences. Timothy plays the violin, and Timothy is Jeremy's brother. First of all, look at the sentence, Timothy plays the violin. In this sentence, plays is an action word. So, we know that the complement following this action word is going to be a direct object. In the second sentence, Timothy is Jeremy's brother. This is a linking verb. Timothy is Jeremy's brother. So we know that this is a predicate nominative. Think of the verb as an equal sign. A predicate nominative will equal the subject. Now I've placed an equal sign over the two verbs. In the first sentence, could we read this sentence, Timothy equals the violin? Well, of course not. Timothy and the violin are not equal. It's something that Timothy is actually doing. It's an action verb, so violin would be a direct object. The second sentence, Timothy equals Jeremy's brother. Well, yes, it sounds perfectly fine there because Timothy is actually Jeremy's brother, so he does equal that. So in this sentence, we have a predicate nominative. Just by way of review, a predicate nominative renames the noun, or it actually is a noun, and it follows a linking verb, whereas a predicate adjective describes, it's an adjective, and it follows a linking verb. Timothy is extremely talented. Timothy is Jeremy's brother. Both of these sentences have the linking verb is as the verb of the sentence. In the first sentence, Timothy is extremely talented. Talented is not a noun, it's an adjective. It's describing Timothy, so it's a predicate adjective. In the second sentence, Timothy is Jeremy's brother. Brother is a noun. It is describing Timothy, so it is a predicate nominative. And this is how we tell the difference between the two. We'll give our attention now to object complements. An object complement follows a direct object and either describes or renames the direct object. When we think of them, again, the words that describe are adjectives and the words that rename are nouns. So again, let's look at these three sentences. They made Timothy captain of the team. Diligent study makes one knowledgeable. A big snow makes the ski slopes better. They made Timothy captain of the team. Timothy is the subject. Captain is an object complement. It's describing Timothy. Diligent study makes one knowledgeable. Knowledgeable is the object complement for the direct object one. Diligent study makes one what? Makes one knowledgeable. A big snow makes the ski slopes better. Again, slopes is the direct object, and better is the object complement. You can usually identify an object complement by inserting to be between the direct object and the word you think is the object complement. If that phrase to be fits naturally in that position, then you're probably correct in assuming that the second word is an object complement. So again, I've inserted that phrase to be in all three of these sentences. They made Timothy to be captain of the team. Diligent study makes one to be knowledgeable. A big snow makes the ski slopes to be better. And indeed, to be fits comfortably in all three of those sentences. So in all three, we do indeed have an object complement following the direct object. The next category that we'll consider is modifiers. A modifier is a word or a group of words that describes or limits other words. Modifiers appear in the subject or the predicate of a sentence. In other words, they can appear in any part of the sentence. When the modifier is an adjective, it will modify nouns and pronouns. When the modifier is an adverb, it will modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Both of these can be found in prepositional phrases. An adjective prepositional phrase, Jesus was the son of the Virgin Mary. The prepositional phrase of the Virgin Mary modifies the word son. Jesus was the son of the Virgin Mary. Now, look at the prepositional phrase using an adverb. They sent the army into the battle. The prepositional phrase into the battle actually modifies the verb sent. They sent into the battle. Now, the direct object, of course, is army. And so they sent the army, but into the battle is actually describing where they sent the army. In the adjective phrase, Jesus was the son of the Virgin Mary, it is describing, modifying, or explaining who the son is. Jesus was the son of the Virgin Mary. Adjectives can also be used in participial phrases. Driving quickly, they arrived on time. Adverbs will not be used in participial phrases. Then we have adjective clauses and adverb clauses. The best friends are they who tell the truth. The best friends are they who tell the truth. Who tell the truth is the adjective clause modifying the word they. In the adverb clause, the puppy came when she called. So when did the puppy come? When she called. So it modifies the verb, whereas the adjective clause modifies the pronoun they. Now we'll look at appositives. And a positive is a word or a group of words that follows a noun or a pronoun and renames or explains that noun or pronoun. Our president, Dr. David Horton, is a very eloquent speaker. Dr. David Horton is the appositive describing, renaming, or explaining the subject, our president. Now, we could easily leave the appositive out. Our president is a very eloquent speaker. The appositive just explains or renames or describes who the president is. Our president, Dr. David Horton, is a very eloquent speaker. And a positive may be compound. In other words, there may be two nouns, pronouns that make up the appositive. The Metroplex, Dallas and Fort Worth, has a population that exceeds 8 million. So we have a compound appositive, Dallas, Fort Worth. And a positive phrase is an appositive with all of its modifiers. Now, in the previous, Dallas, Fort Worth, that's the compound appositive. But if we were looking at the appositive phrase, it would contain all of those words, Dallas and Fort Worth. Now, look at the next sentence. Copperhead Strike, Carowind's newest roller coaster, is an exhilarating ride. So all of that is the appositive phrase. Let's take just a minute now to review what we've discussed in this week's lesson. A verb complement is a noun or pronoun that follows an action word and completes the meaning of the verb. Direct objects and indirect objects are both verb complements. Sam threw the ball. Ball is the direct object. It's telling us what Sam threw. Sam threw Joe the ball. Joe is the indirect object, telling us who received the action. A subject complement is, again, a noun, pronoun, or an adjective that follows a linking verb and renames or describes the subject. Predicate nominatives rename the subject. Predicate adjectives describe the subject. Joshua is the captain of the Lord's army. Captain is a noun, so we know it's a predicate nominative renaming the subject, Joshua. Joshua is dedicated. Dedicated is an adjective, so we know that it's a predicate adjective describing the subject of the sentence. An object complement follows a direct object and either describes or renames the direct object. They elected Timothy captain. Captain is the object complement. It is describing or renaming the direct object, Timothy. Timothy was elected. They elected Timothy. So he's receiving the action. And what was he elected? He was elected captain. So that is an object complement. A modifier is a word or a group of words that describes or limits other words. Timothy was a spiritual son of the Apostle Paul. Of the Apostle Paul is a prepositional phrase, and it is modifying the word son, describing the word son in this sentence. And a positive is a word that follows a noun or a pronoun and renames or explains it. Ted Dekker, a prolific writer, is the author of many wonderful books. A prolific writer is actually the complete appositive. So now you're ready to take this week's quiz. And again, please remember that you can refer to any notes you've taken, but you will only have one attempt at the quiz. You will have 1 hour to complete the quiz once you've started, so make sure you have enough time to finish it. Now, you will not have any problem finishing the quiz in a 1 hour time slot. There's only 20 questions, as there will be every week. But make sure you've got a clear hour so that you will not get in the middle of it and then have to stop for some reason and not be able to complete it within the hour. And so the only part that you have done will actually be graded in the quiz, and everything else will be counted as wrong responses. So please remember that. And I look forward to being back with you next week as we continue our study in English 102.